The increasing severity and frequency of wet weather events, along with projected sea level rise, challenge critical infrastructure around the world, including in the United States. Disruption of critical infrastructure like prolonged power outages, impassable roads, breakdown in communication systems, or not having clean water can have significant impacts on public health and safety. Reducing the frequency and severity of disruptions requires building resilience. Resilience includes investing in adaptations to ensure infrastructure performs well today, as well as bounces back better to mitigate future disruptions. This need for resilience is particularly important for wastewater systems because these systems are frequently located at the low point in town, in a floodplain or close to the coast. Power loss, together with flooded plants, pump stations, and damaged sewer lines, create risk of untreated and partially treated sewage spilling into rivers and streams, risking public and environmental health. So, what are states and communities doing to make wastewater systems more resilient?
In the U.S., state agencies typically regulate wastewater systems, as well as provide access to funding, training, and technical support. And increasingly, states are also supporting resilience building efforts. So for example, in Maine, the Department of Environmental Protection encourages communities to develop climate adaptation plans, or CAPs, for their wastewater systems to increase resilience. Adaptations are the actual changes made to improve resilience to risks like more intense storms, more frequent and higher flood levels, and sea level rise. Adaptations can be physical changes like raising infrastructure above flood levels or installing temporary flood barriers, or they can be human-related changes such as changing a process or procedure to improve worker safety during a storm. Adaptations can also be reactive or proactive, and narrow or more transformative. In Maine, 44 communities have participated in the CAP program, and 26 communities have completed climate adaptation plans. With funding from the University of Mississippi National Sea Grant Law Center, we analyzed 21 of these plans, whose wastewater systems serve about 20% of the population of Maine, served by centralized wastewater systems. These plans describe over 700 planned wastewater-related adaptations.
What kinds of adaptations are we talking about that help build wastewater resilience?
Over the past decade, we've documented different types of adaptations in wastewater systems in New England. So for example, in Connecticut, communities like Norwalk have elevated pump stations and electrical equipment to keep them out of floodwaters. Others have established better communication with power providers to ensure wastewater systems are prioritized for power restoration. Stonington installed temporary flood barriers and stockpiled spare parts to minimize damage and speed recovery. Rhode Island communities are doing these things too, as well as leaning into collaborations with states, local governments, nonprofits, and others to improve resilience. In Maine, planned adaptations include those aimed at monitoring and evaluation, collaboration and coordination, planning, and specific physical or technical improvements. The most common planned adaptations for wastewater treatment facilities involve mitigating flood risks, like raising critical buildings, installing removable flood barriers, and waterproofing openings. Other common adaptations aim at reducing the amount of excess stormwater entering the system through cracked or broken pipes and illegal connections, which can overwhelm wastewater plants during heavy rain events. Protecting electrical components, having backup power at pump stations, and ensuring power is restored quickly were also frequent planned adaptations.
Why do so many adaptations focus on reducing risks from extreme precipitation and flooding?
Well, the reason is threefold. First, wastewater systems are often at the low points in the landscape where water collects. Second, precipitation patterns have changed. Today, New England experiences more frequent and intense storms compared to the past, and this means more days per year with extreme precipitation and more precipitation overall. For example, in Maine, the total annual precipitation has increased 6 inches since the 1900s. And third, adaptations can be reactive or proactive. We found wastewater managers that experience impacts from storms often respond by adapting, such as floodproofing to build resilience. The same pattern is apparent in Maine. Our analysis shows that communities participating in the CAP planning program are most concerned about flooding and storm risks, followed by stronger winds and precipitation, too much or too little. Given flood and storms pose the greatest risks, it's not surprising that our analysis found that the majority of planned adaptations aim at reducing these risks.
How do you know if adaptations are making wastewater systems more resilient?
Unfortunately, determining actual risk reduction is really challenging. Our analysis of Maine CAP plans only examined planned adaptations, not implementations of those plans.
So, any takeaways from your analysis?
Each year, the American Society for Civil Engineers, or ASCE, grades U.S. critical infrastructure from A to F to raise awareness about the state of infrastructure that undergirds public health and safety and the economy. ASCE assigned the U.S. wastewater sector overall a D+ due to chronic underinvestment and other challenges. In comparison, Maine's wastewater grade is a C-, not only better than the national average, but also better than its nearest neighbors. Both New Hampshire and Vermont received D+ grades. The Maine Department of Environmental Protection CAP program helps increase the resilience of participating wastewater systems and may be helping to raise the grade in Maine. Research supports this idea. Research suggests that engaging in planning efforts helps to raise awareness of both potential risks and necessary adaptations and can enable enhanced communication, coordination, and more proactive planning to mitigate future risks. Maine DEP staff continue to share lessons learned from the CAP program around the state, encouraging greater participation and awareness of the need to build resilience and the resources available to help. Beyond Maine, our research in the New England wastewater sector suggests that forward-looking collaborations, stable funding, and information can support resilience-building activities. These efforts do not stop at planning, but continue to guide and support implementation of resilience efforts. Given the Maine CAP program is focused on planning, there's likely a need to enable implementation to build resilience. We've seen other state programs start with capacity building and then move to implementation support. For example, in Rhode Island, we found that bringing together representatives from state, local governments, and wastewater systems enhances buy-in and enables resilience action. Funding through the Rhode Island Infrastructure Bank, information resources, and a culture of learning also enable adaptation.
So the key takeaways from the study are: critical infrastructure is at risk, especially low-lying wastewater infrastructure. States provide information and resources to help communities plan and build resilience. Plan ahead and build resilience proactively. Collaboration is key. Resilience is a team effort. And talk to others who have experienced disruption and are building resilience and learn what works. Thanks for watching.